Before I even finished reading the manual, my interest in comics was gone. Lockpicking was secret, forbidden knowledge, not meant for a young boy like me, and I found it irresistible. I studied that manual until it fell apart. I even created my own lockpick set by filing down pieces of scrap metal. I practiced on bike locks, padlocks, my home's door locks, and any other locks I could get my hands on, until I could open them all within seconds. Then one night I watched the musical Oliver on TV and became fascinated by the pickpocketing scenes. I started teaching myself how to pick pockets by surreptitiously planting items on friends and family members and then removing them. At first they often caught me, despite the deftness with sleight of hand I had developed from my shoplifting experience, but I always played it off as a harmless little game, and nobody took it seriously. Everyone thought I soon grew out of that phase, but in reality I just became good enough that they never caught me anymore. In my mid-teens I chafed at not being able to drive legally, so I figured out how to steal cars and motorcycles for joyrides. Since I didn't have to pay for the vehicles, or their repairs, I used them to practice tricky maneuvers like bootleg reverses and ramp jumps in empty parking lots. Not many of the vehicles made it back to their owners in one piece. While I took the cars just for the thrill of it, I knew I would need to make a living eventually, so I started taking untraceable valuables I found in the cars and selling them at pawn shops. But when I found a place that would buy almost anything of value, no questions asked, I began regularly jacking the stereo systems from cars to sell after my joyrides. It still wasn't enough to live on. However, the pawn shop owner knew a guy who ran a chop shop, and he paid well for premium vehicles. It didn't take long before the cars I took ended up never being returned to their owners at all. I even began breaking into secure homes and storage facilities to get at some of the more valuable vehicles and whatever else I could find. I felt particular satisfaction from breaking into buildings secured with alarms or guards. A successful burglary often requires a wide variety of different skills: lockpicking, safecracking, stealth, security devices, rappelling, and fast driving, to name a few. The best missions were like solving an exhilarating, dangerous, and intriguing puzzle that involved a quick mind and an agile body. I even spent a summer interning with a special effects company in order to learn how to disguise myself effectively, for those instances when looking the right part made it easier to gain access, or when there was a risk of being recognized. The sheer variety of options kept things interesting and challenging. I ended up making a pretty good living for myself, stealing cars and burglarizing upscale homes. Unfortunately, it didn't last. The first time the police caught me, I was still just a teenager. Being new to burglary at the time, I hadn't thought to check for dogs when I broke into a wealthy stockbroker's home. I didn't notice the Doberman until too late. It chased me into a closet and wouldn't let me out until the owner returned home. I didn't carry a weapon, so there was nothing I could do. Fortunately, since this was my first offense, the judge gave me the option to avoid jail time by enlisting in the military. I took it and joined the Marines.